faster movement. So we still hope to have results of officials announced today. And maybe late in the night, once those results are announced, we'll then be seized with the nominations of additionals. So that tomorrow, when we come back, we are able to start with the voting of those additionals. But of course, we'll be guided by the Steering Committee of Conference. So, where we are now, we're trying to make sure that we cover as much ground as possible, especially on the things that we were really beginning to lag behind. And once more, we must thank our delegates. They participated in all these processes that have already been undertaken. Yourselves, members of the media, were invited to the open session when Comrade Khalema and his team presenting the electoral guidelines, as well as putting the names of those individual leaders who have qualified initially in the top 6 to be in the top 6 positions. So we don't anticipate that we will not finish the program of conference at the date when we are intended to conclude, which is the 20th of December. We'll be coming in to give members of the media updates. What we'll also be doing is that post this, once we go into commissions, when they are done, when presenters to commissions are done with the presentations, we'll be bringing in those different presenters like we did with the National Policy Conference here to come and interact with yourselves on some of the key areas that came out of those policy discussions. So that will give you the insight of where the program is at and what the deliberations were all about, and also allow you the space and an opportunity to ask them questions. Like we said, I've discussed with our head of elections, Comrade Balula, because he had done a presentation on elections, that there might be a need that they too, especially on those presentations that were done and presented in plenary, that they also come and interact with yourselves on those. We've discussed with the media relations team that aspects of our organizational report that were taken into plenary also be shared with yourselves, so that you at least have got a fair appreciation of our own analysis of the state of organization. So that will be done. If you have access to our digital ANC Today publication, you will also see, notice there on ANC Today that we have done some work on the organizational report. So you can always also refer to ANC Today as an important resource around this organizational report that was delivered. So we'd like to pause there for now and pick up questions if there are any from members of the media. You can come. can raise your hands, all those who have questions, and then immediately he's done asking his, then you can come.
Yes, thank you. My question regards the counting process. Could you explain it to us, please? Will it be partially manual, partially electronic, or any which way? And how would the candidates be represented at the counting process to stop any claims that it wasn't free and fair?
Just repeat the question again. I want to try and record it.
You're more than welcome to. My question is on the counting process. How will the votes be counted? Will they be tallied electronically, manually, or will there be a hybrid situation? And how will the candidates, agents, or any representative of any candidates be represented so that there are no claims that it wasn't free and fair?
Okay, we recognize that these are not general elections. They are elections, the internal elections of the ANC. They are part of our own internal democracy. Because, so maybe let me make my point, simplify my point. Those who are standing to be elected in the ANC don't have independent observers themselves. Because the internal process of the African National Congress. Imagine with participants, you have got about, your ballot paper has got about 240 comrades who are standing. If each one of them had an observer, it means you are going to have 240 observers. So the internal election process of the ANC, as part of our own internal democracy, is different to what happens in your national or general elections or local government elections. On the observer part, which is what you are asking about.
Partially so.
Yes. So we will have the leagues, provinces of the ANC, alliance partners will deploy observers. So already those observers have already been deployed. They are now part, they now form part of the Electoral Commission. So that has to be done all the time to make sure that there is no suspicion or doubt that there could have been manipulation of processes and all of that. We ensure that we always have a team of independent observers that is part of this exercise. We make sure that organizational structures are represented in that exercise as well.
Understood.
And
Sorry.
then on the counting, we always say, for now, we are still doing manual counting of ballots. And this conference will again be undertaken in exactly that way as it relates to counting ballots. Does that assist? Thanks.
Thank you. We know that the ANC Electoral Committee have tried to curb the issue of vote buying and money exchanging hands amongst the delegates. But in this conference already, there are reports that money, or there were attempts to buy delegates from both factions, that of Zulinkisa and Ramaphosa. Those reports arrived, that happened last night, and has been confirmed by a few delegates. I want to get the position of the ANC and also to check if the ANC will be able to ever cleanse itself from this destructive practice. Thank you.
Thanks for that question. When we met here on Friday and we presented to members of the media the do's and don'ts, part of the don'ts that the African National Congress abhors is vote buying. Unfortunately, if these delegates whom are alleged to have been bought or have received some form of inducement to vote either way, only use the media or journalists to report, and they don't make the organization aware, we are then not empowered to make the necessary investigations. When your colleague, one of your colleagues in the media, brought such a question to my attention, or such an issue to my attention. I then asked them that, have this delegate reported? And I could not get a straight answer. Because where this case of vote buying, allegations of vote buying, and people produce material proof of how that purchase or transaction was going to take place, then we are then empowered as an organization to undertake the necessary investigations. Imagine if, say, about 1,500 of this near 4,400, near 4,200 delegates that are present in this conference came with such allegations, and they do not provide proof to back them. What such allegations do is that they cast doubt on brand ANC. They create a credibility crisis for those expected to lead. They undermine trust between the ANC and the leadership of the ANC and its own members. So we have said that we have got to deal with these instances, because later on, when you are elected in a position of leadership, if there has been some form of transacting on how you ultimately emerged, you then struggle to gain the necessary respect that must be given to a leader of the African National Congress. So to avoid these things, ultimately taking the organization down, because I often say that this issue of vote buying makes it difficult for the organization to be able to locate itself on critical matters that affect society. Because once a leadership becomes tainted in that way, it also becomes a little bit of a constraint on how that leadership executes its own responsibilities. And that is created by a simple thing, that your ability to enjoy and earn respect of your own members again gets to be in question. You'll imagine this. These people know that Ahmad how are you going to be respected by those people? Because we often say the leadership of the ANC must be beyond reproach. When you stand there and make articulations or pronouncement on any other matter, the people you are relaying that to have got to trust, have got to know that there's a credible leader. They've got to say we can rely on this wisdom. So, and we must expect the members of the media to bring this to our attention. We'll also just say on the side notes here, we get to be empowered with some form of evidence, so that we follow it through with the steering committee of the African National Congress, so that those who are involved in such acts can be acted upon. We can no longer just leave these things to be allegations that fly out there, and the ANC, to redeem itself, is not seen to be undertaking some form of investigations. We have briefed our security at all security checkpoints. We have briefed our marshals on site, on access points to commission rooms, to voting stations, and all of that. That if they dare pick up something suspicious within the conference precinct on exchange of monies, they must report such to the steering committee of the conference. We have to take action against individuals who do such. Because we now have got the electoral guidelines that Comrade Khalema is presiding over. And these electoral guidelines makes it easier for you to campaign openly and lots of digital posters. A number of journalists were asking me when we were discussing how this campaign, this new campaign is running and whether it creates constraint or not for the ANC, and our answer has always been consistent. That it is quite helpful because under the new guidelines, you now have to you can make declarations if you've received some form of financial support to be able to run your campaign. You can do those declarations. Because society will appreciate that the ANC's desire to build an ethical developmental state, to have a meritocratic leadership, to make sure that the leadership that you have is also based on merit, is also advanced through what this organization is doing. They are doing things on merit themselves. This leadership is showing that they are ethical in their own undertakings. They are able to make the relevant declarations where they've received support towards their own campaigns. And the electoral guidelines go further to even outline what kind of support is permitted. Support with monies in a branch or branches that have declared their support with monies for airtime, for data, because these days they would run a branch. In my branch where I come from, they've got a branch WhatsApp group. Now, because WhatsApp has even developed, they've now gotten into something called the WhatsApp community, where they can bring in different members. So you can imagine, I've seen many others who have used such methods as part of their own campaign. It will be transport to get members of the branch to the PGM. It will be resources towards payment of a venue or buying a snack, catering during that branch general meeting, or when the campaign team is meeting, a list of members of the campaign team and the work that they are expected to do or they are doing. And it's for fuel, for mobility, and all of that. So those things are being defined on what resources of campaigns can be used towards. So I'm just saying, if as part of promoting, progressive citizenry, we could be favored with the information ourselves and be allowed to use our own mechanisms to conduct investigations. And because some of these issues are matters of public interest, we can also, whoever will be in the leadership can always come and clarify those out in the public.
I just wanted to get some clarity on the number of voting delegates, because the credentials report stated 4,426. But I think during the nominations process yesterday, someone from the Electoral Commission may have mentioned 4,436. So if we could just get some clarity on the number of voting delegates.
Well, I'll get the full number for you and clarify. I don't want to put a number here, and I'm also not giving an accurate one. Numbers are important in a conference, so we just have to, when we are within the precinct, we can always make sure that the team, once it has clarified that, once it has managed to resource, get the right accurate information, then we share it with you.
I just want to confirm with you the time that delegates will start voting, and then also, is it a guarantee that we would get the result tonight? And then also, we are, if we get the result tonight, we are already 24 hours behind schedule. What is the plan to end the conference in time? Thank you.
Well, we will be able to give that kind of an update once voting begins. Well, the steering committee will have to then say, seeing that we are already 24 hours behind, what do we do? Do we need to have a full-on discussion of all the different commissions, in all the different commissions, or are we going to be limiting time to make sure that we can meet or fulfill what was on our own program? So we should be able to give that clarity later on as well.
We've got another scourge, except for the vote buying, is that of slates. But slates are conceived in factions, and then that results in slates, and that results in vote buying. So I must credit you that you don't seem to build any slate, which is really honourable. Don't you think once there's the faction issue first before you go, there's all these other issues, because surely that's where it's conceived in the fact that our factions, as long as our factions, there will be slates, as long as our slates, there will be vote buying.
Well, what the Khalema modality process has done, it has opened up for campaigning, where those that want to stand for leadership can campaign openly. But of course, when you get to this point, you will find that different comrades will be nominated for various positions, themselves forge consensus at this point. That look, to avoid the proliferation of pieces of paper doing rounds at the venue of conference, having the name of Steve Mabona, Amos Pao, and all of that, because something of interest happened when delegates were busy registering on Thursday, and there on Monday, they already had, maybe you might not grasp it, because it said in a different language, Stebeza. They had people with Stebeza, and so it's smaller than a piece of paper. A person has written their name there. As delegates were getting into the venue, they were given that paper. Please, when you go to an NEC or additional, remember that. That is why during the nomination process, we start with 10,000 names of people who were nominated to be in the NEC. 10,000. Because of this new open electoral process of the ANC, that seems to be embraced by the fact that we have 10,000 names. It means the process is being embraced. So we said that we want to deal decisively with slate politics. The introduction of the electoral committee, as well as the adoption of the electoral guidelines by the leadership structure of the ANC, is part of those efforts to make sure that we deal with slates. But a list alone that has got a list of comrades who are standing for positions who are nominated to stand for positions of leadership. It's not a very hectic thing to do. It's not a very expensive thing to do, because normally it's just lists that are photocopied. And when you are in the floor of conference, what cadres usually do, they again forge their own consensus. So, okay, because we're not going to be doing a radical change, maybe on the direction that the African National Congress need to take. But because there seems to be consensus on the approach we are taking on how issues must be resolved, maybe as part of this, let's have our own one common list to be able to do that. Those are done, but we don't really want to locate those within the realm of slates. Because slates are well coordinated, structured to fulfill a desire of this or that grouping, and sometimes can be divisive. This whole nomination process of the ANC eventually began to expose the fact that if we give our branches the space to express themselves, they can actually contribute in the strengthening of the African National Congress. even without ourselves having to push things down their throats. So there is a commitment on our part to deal with the notion of vote buying, because an organization such as the ANC, our size, doesn't really subscribe to those. Those things are an antithesis of what we stand for.
I just want to get an update. You promised yesterday that you will check for us if can we interact with the delegates. Also, is the top six still outgoing top six still going to come and interact with the media?
Hi, good afternoon. It's Ranesh Noraj from the SABC. I'm kind of glad you mentioned the Electoral Committee guidelines, because just on that, the initial plan from the Electoral Committee was to stagger the voting at conference. So what we were supposed to have was President, the SG, the Chairperson, and the TG's positions. We voted on first, and then obviously now it's two DSG posts and the Deputy President. So when did the plan change? Because the ultimate aim and objective was to do away with slates, as you mentioned earlier, and a winner-takes-all approach. So when did the plan change? Was it because of the time and the schedule that conference is running behind? Thanks.
Okay.
Oh, hi, I'm from the ANC. I have two questions. The first one is, how's your campaign as the candidate for the TG position going? Are you getting promises from some delegates from other provinces? But the second part of my question is, you guys, the three of you, have now been joined by a female, Dr. Brenda who was nominated from the floor for that position of TG. In the interest of being seen to be promoting women and trusting them to hold strategic positions, because I stand to be corrected, but I don't think as the ANC you have ever had a female being elected to the position of Treasurer General. Why can't you, the three of you as males, agree that you are withdrawing your candidacy and you allow her to be elected uncontested?
When are we bringing the top six? Is that the question? So I've spoken to them about that. And then once I've gotten an indication, I will be able to advise members of the meeting. I have not gotten that indication, but I have put forward that proposal. We would like to do that ourselves, because it's just good for the media village itself and for yourselves, but also for them to also be able to advance what they perceive to have been their leaders as the top leadership of the ANC. So we'll raise that. Actually, the resolution itself on staggering the voting, we have clarified this question. We have to clarify, we can do so again. The resolution itself was about staggering all the top six positions, all the six positions. So it means you're going to have 6 ballots. Now, you can see the other appointment and the time factor. When provincial secretaries put this forward, the time factor was also explained. So it was really that. But because of the way the nomination processes went, it was a tedious process. Tedious. You have seen it. There was even an attempt, others have even taken this to court. The court dismissed their case. But, it was tedious. So it must tell us that if we don't make our processes so solid, people can go to court and win against you. What would you do? You'll undermine your own processes. So the fact that you even have people going to court like that, it means that there's something that we did right in these processes. Allowing and courts dismissed those, allowing our branches to be at the center of these nominations. Just to clarify, here I speak in my capacity as outgoing spokesperson. It would be unfair of me, while addressing the media, to talk about an internal democratic process of the ANC that has also produced my name as a candidate, because I did not influence my candidature in any way. Unfortunately, I can't resign from myself. I can't say because I have been nominated, this nomination I've accepted, I can no longer be able to talk to the media. For your own benefit, and for the benefit of many, because there was also, I also had some clapping of hands. Let me accompany that clapping of hands as it relates to the empowerment of the women. That Rule 6 of the ANC Constitution stresses the point that in the overall structure of the National Executive Committee, you must have 50-50 representation. So maybe it was at this point that we're supposed to have those hands. Because the structure of the NEC of the ANC, when you look at it overall, 50% of those represented must be women. So that is already in the Constitution. The electoral guidelines that we have adopted also talks about biasness towards the generation. Now, a generation in the ANC is not located according to gender. It could be generation of youth, those that came from the youth movement and all of that. So as we raise the question you are raising, also talk about the importance of intergenerational leadership in the African National Congress. You have to look at the profile of our country and then say, does the leadership of the ANC today reflect the profile of the country? We have already been taken to two sessions, two open sessions. First, when the president was delivering his political report, and secondly, during the nominations of officials. You yourselves have had sight of the profile of the delegates that are in this conference. So where there are issues that relate to our candidature, personal, individual cadres, because I'm not the spokesperson of the who was there. If you say, why can't the three of you? So you are making an assumption that I speak for Bejani, I speak for Chandi, I speak for the ANC, I speak for this big organization. I don't speak for candidates. So they can speak for themselves, but also I can't use a platform of the ANC where I've invited the media in my capacity as outgoing national spokesperson, come in and start talking about my campaign. If members of the media want to talk to us about such, you can just grab us on the side, but not on this platform. We've got to respect this platform, the decorum of how we interact with the media ourselves, so that my own comrades, I mean, imagine there are others who are standing for the position you are mentioning. They are not here to speak for themselves. You know, they could go and accuse me of having an unfair advantage because I've got this interaction with the media. So that if you want to talk to us about these other ones, we can do them outside. We've done so before. We have spoken to many media outlets, and so are other candidates as well. We have just avoided debates ourselves with fellow comrades who have been nominated and qualified, because we understood this to be about internal democracy in the ANC. You know, the leadership that we elect only leads the African National Congress. It's limited to that. So we're fine. So if you feel strong about the question, we can do it, but not on this platform.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Mabe. Good afternoon, actually. Sorry. Good afternoon. I hope you're doing well. Page chatted yesterday about load shedding and how Nazareth was being empowered. I believe Daily Maverick brought up the question. I just wanted to check because City Power has released a press release saying that the South African Police Service, NATJOINT, did request that Nazareth precinct be excluded from load shedding. Does the ANC know anything about that request? Were they aware of it? How is Nazareth being powered at the moment?
No, but really, I mean, you are saying it yourself, NATJOINT, SAPS. Is that right? Huh?
It's aware of the...
But how will we enter? We are not SAPS. We can't enter them. SAPS is not as SAPS. South African Police Service. Yes. Okay. Because you see, unless the question is intended as something else. But the South African Police Service is not part of any structure of the ANC. You know, we hire a venue, and you understand the profile of, and maybe to be fair to you, the profile of people who attend this conference is such that it requires its security to be tightened. The president of the ANC is the president of the Republic of South Africa. So how those that deal with security detail, often we are told that security issues are not discussed. Those that deal with security issues, what they would have detected and all of that, it will not be because we don't want to make a security environment vulnerable. You allow the relevant teams that have to attend to that to apply what is sufficient to deal with the security of an area, any other threat that they might have picked up, or any other possibility. For instance, when we drive our cars here, we first have to go to search park. You know, cars have to be surveyed and checked if they are not carrying any weapons and all of that. And we're not asking them, why are you doing this? Because we regard those as falling within the arena of security, in the same way that we treat this issue. I guess it has got, those issues have got their own sensitivities. So it's good that City Power communicated, because this question was first raised by the Daily Maverick, if I recall. It's good that they have clarified it. It only goes to show that they are transparent enough to share that something like that has been done, that there is no information that is being concealed, you know, so that it doesn't come across as if there was some underhand or secret operation that was taking place to try to conceal this information. So we must commend City Power and the South African Police Service that they've been able to place this out on record and exonerate the ANC. So at least the Daily Maverick and yourselves are now aware that the ANC never applied for any exemption. Yes. So if you report about it, it could be the positive as well. So we did not know ourselves. So we commend them for making sure that they are transparent about that kind of an arrangement. It could be a security issue, we don't know. But if it's done by SAPS, and SAPS being in the security cluster, it means it's a security issue. You and I understanding the sensitivities of security, we may want to treat it as a security matter as well. Can we just move towards the closure? Because this ends. Because we did ask that colleagues from the media must raise their hands to take questions at once. Yeah?
Mr. Mami, I don't know if you've clarified on this before, but what is the difference between the second Deputy Secretary General position and the first one?
Well, we have had intense deliberations in the organization when we ultimately considered the introduction of the position of the second Deputy Secretary General, including consideration that the position of Treasurer General shouldn't be full-time. So we said that what we need to consolidate or build on in the ANC is to make sure that you build in a strong secretariat monitoring work as well. And what do you monitor here? You don't just have to monitor the work of branches, whether they've got programs. You also have to monitor the work of your employees in government. You monitor, you do sort of, we started doing it now. We introduced something called an elections barometer. And what that barometer does, it allows us to zoom into all topical issues that affect the ANC and how the ANC is being perceived out there. And on a daily basis, from the SGO side, we'll get that barometer. And we'll see, okay, this were by-elections, how the ANC felt. There was a protest here, this protest was caused by this business forum in this specific township, and these some issues were attended to there, So now, but now you need a focused attention on that kind of thing. So it will fall under the SGO to do that work. International relations, numerous others. Membership system, so a number of things. So that alignment will have to then be done to make sure that there is no duplication of roles in the organization, especially there in the SGO. Each one of those positions has got specific tasks that they are meant to fulfill. The SGO primarily deals with the overall administration of the African National Congress. When I'm still in the employ of the ANC, I'm sure that when I finish in my role as spokesperson, I will still have 3 months to dust my table and all of that. And, while the new spokesperson gets into their role. My letter of appointment in the ANC, because I'm an employee of the ANC, I get my pay slip there at work. My letter of appointment is signed by the Secretary General. Matters of employee relations fall within the SGO. So there's quite a lot of things. HR, DC, coordination of the work of subcommittees sit within or reside within the SGO. So you have to strengthen the SGO to empower it to be able to do that. We're convening of NEC meetings, convening of MWC meetings, communications, both internal and external, done through them. For instance, the national spokesperson position reports directly to the Secretary General's office in between MWC and NEC meetings. The national spokesperson of the ANC has a reporting to someone who reports to the SGO, also sits in the National Working Committee of the ANC to assist the SGO with those communications efforts. So you could just imagine the amount of work that the SGO is expected to do and conduct. So I'm sure the incoming leadership, whoever will be there, I don't know. Democracy will decide. The incoming leadership will be able to then communicate on some of this, because society, members of the media do deserve to be clarified fully on what is the difference. What are the extra tasks that will be done by the second DSG different to those that will be done by the DSG? So that will be done. Part of the issue, part of the motivation of why we have that position are the issues that I've just raised now. I'm sure how it's all fast.
Good morning or good afternoon. So,
you see what you think in the morning?
Yes.
Now everybody thinks in the morning.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been a long day, but it feels very short. Nonetheless, I'd just like you to clarify in terms of, you spoke about how that joint applied or appealed to City Power without communicating with you as the ANC about, being exempt from load shedding. So could you confirm that? And secondly, if that's the case, right?
No. Can we just
Okay.
I never said without communicating with us.
So
No.
okay.
If as national spokesperson of the ANC, I'm not aware of something, it doesn't mean they did not communicate with the ANC.
Okay.
I'm just saying this is a very big organization. Big. Since 1912, big, more than 100 years old. So I'm just saying, I would really ask that those issues that have got to do with external parties outside the ANC, you are welcome to take it up with them.
Okay, sorry. I think it just becomes quite tricky in terms of, if you're saying that we must appeal to external factors when you indeed are the spokesperson, we expect to get answers from you, especially on matters like this, because then my next question would have been, as the ANC, if indeed you were aware, do you not have some sort of ethical obligation to investigate how such arrangement was made?
I will talk about it. We now get into the root issues. Really? Are you asking us that question? I don't think that let's help you. Let's help you with, I think we need to assist you here. The net joins, in net joins, there will be someone from the ANC who is part of net joins. Understand? So net joins is actually, it's a national joint task team that would look at all the security factors that affect our own conference. To give you a simple example and to make you understand how the security issues work. That's why when you drive, if you drive coming here, if you drive to come here, or if you are dropped, whichever one, you use the entrance just behind here. That entrance is a dedicated entrance only for the media and TIP. Everyone else who comes on that door, the police know they must have a tag. They must either be a media service provider, they must be from the media tags that you are all having now, or they must be from our own TIP. So almost all the entrances you have around Nazareth are designated to specific groupings of people that are here. You know that they know that, okay, this access is used by members of the National Executive Committee. So all those things are discussed in the joints. I can come here and make noise to the police, no, allow me in, I'm NEC and all of that. But if I'm not using a designated entrance, they won't allow me. Because we have to know at any given time how many warm bodies are we having around the media village. So it's a very important security feature, that one. So if I'm not fully informed about something, it doesn't mean that relevant bodies in the ANC or relevant structures in the ANC that represent us in net joints are not aware. I went on to commend City Power and SAPS to have placed this out there, because I'm sure that when they did something like this, it was then considered a number of factors which fall outside my scope of work. Okay, can I take this opportunity to thank all of you once more for continuing to report to the public out there, be critical of our work, the work of the African National Congress, and where we want to take the country. We don't take the role you are playing lightly. Respect that role. And now and then I'm able to pick up what you may not have known because of the things that you bring forward. And everything else that you bring forward here, if I don't know, I always go back to the relevant bodies to seek answers. Because we don't know everything ourselves, we're just messengers and spokespersons. So we can't come here and claim to know it all. No. There is something about electricity the other day. We went on to ask, we have been asked here about the issue of exemption. Can we get the relevant bodies to clarify? There is an issue about vote buying and delegates reporting this. We go to the steering committee and the disciplinary committees of conference to report. There are these issues that are coming up. Can they be followed on so that we can attend to them? So we don't take the things you raise or bring up with us lightly. Can we thank all of you at this point? And again say, our media relations team will give you an update on developments so that you can be able to plan. We'll also update you on whether the outgoing officials will be available for a direct interface with yourselves. Thank you very much.